Wow. And you thought Warframes were good at parkour. Hello YouTube, this is the Console Casual, and today we're looking at the top 5 weapon buffs of Update 21. So along with all the goodies we got like the new quest, the new Warframe, and the revamped Earth tile set, we also got a huge number of weapon buffs, 32 in total. Now some of these were just buffs to their damage, some of them were just buffs to the magazine size, some were buffs to mastery rank? Okay, now you're just making these weapons too powerful. However, among all these weapon buffs, there were some which really stood out from the rest. And as you can imagine, they're the ones that made this list. Now, please keep in mind that the weapons on these lists are my personal favorites, and if you feel that there are any other weapons that deserve to be on here, you are wrong. Now that that's out of the way, let's start off. Now the Dex Sybaris is a pair of dual pistols. They have extremely high fire rate, a large magazine, and they're one of the anniversary weapons. Every single tenor gets this, along with the rest of the anniversary weapons, on Warframe's birthday. They received a small increase to their damage, just going up from 15 damage to 16 damage, a small increase to their crit chance from 8 to 10%, but the biggest increase was their status chance, from 5 to a whopping 20%. Now I've always liked the Dex Sybaris, and I've always used them surprisingly as status weapons. Despite only having horrific 5% status chance initially, the Dex Sybaris had an extremely high fire rate, and this along with the multi-shot mods that all pistols can use made this weapon pretty good at stripping armor. Now of course it's on a completely different level. This thing shreds through armor so quickly, and I absolutely adore it. However, it's not without its downside. It still has horrific ammo economy, so you'll be running out of ammo pretty quickly in any mission you do. This means that pistol ammo mutation mods or ammo pads are a must for this weapon, which is why it only gets the 5th position on this list. The Piranha. The Piranha got one of the biggest damage buffs of the update. It went from a meager 108 damage per shot to a whopping 264. Now this alone would not get it on this list. The Piranha makes it here because it got a doubled magazine size. Now you might think this is a bit lackluster, but previously, the Piranha only had 5 shots in its magazine. Couple this with the fact that it has a very fast fire rate and a 2-second reload time, and you'd literally be firing it less than you were reloading. So the quality of life magazine size increase really makes this weapon a treat to use. It's a mostly slash based shotgun type crit chance weapon, and it sounds so amazing. Sure, at high levels it falls off versus the enemy armor, but at those levels you'd probably be running a corrosive projection squad anyways. Which means that once you do get rid of an enemy's armor... yeah. I never really got the deal with the Daikyu. The Daikyu was the first of its kind really. At the time of its release, it was the only bow that focused less on crit chance and more on status chance. It had marginally higher damage than the other bows, an extremely long draw time, and its only real upside at the time seemed to be that the arrows did not drop off as much. I actually built this bow for mastery and used it. I also put a catalyst on just to check it out, and I really did not like it. Now on the other hand, it's a completely different story. The Daikyu got a 150 damage increase. It went from 350 up to 500. This puts it at the damage of an uncharged Opticor shot. Along with this, it got its crit chance increased up to 20%, which means once you mod it up, you'll be doing half of your shots as crits, and it got a slight increase to the status chance up to 50% from 45. The status chance increase really doesn't do much for you since you'll be going over 100% status anyway with any build you use. Along with this, it also got a 100% chance to knock back any enemy it hits. Now you might not think much of it, but these small buffs did a huge deal for this weapon. It now crits consistently, and the huge damage makes it really good at hammering down on high level targets. I mainly use this bow for spreading radiation and viral effects on my enemies, but I've also been working on a slash build, and that is pretty dope too. one of my personal favorite melee weapons, the Glaive Prime. I always loved the Glaive Prime. I love the way it looks, I love the stances and the movesets it had. It's just that it wasn't that great of a weapon. This weapon buff, however, sees it ascend to the godly status. Its crit chance increased from just 5% up to 15%, making it ideal for using it on a Berserker build. The status chance went from 20% up to 30%, which makes the Condition Overload status build extremely viable, and it also had a slight increase to its crit damage and overall damage, at just 5 damage increase and 0.5% crit damage increase. The Glaive Prime is an absolute monster of a melee weapon now. There's really not much more to say about it. This weapon is a beast. Now, out of all the weapons I've been showing here, they've all had kind of half-assed builds. I'll admit it right here, I've been too lazy to put former on most of these. However, that is not the case with our number one weapon, the Opticor. Seeing how popular the Opticor has gotten with the recent buff, this is probably no surprise to any of you. The Opticor was finally given a 1 meter punch through, a status chance increase up to 20% from 15%, a crit chance increase to 20%, which really, like the Daikyu, makes it extremely consistent at getting those crit shots, and a 2.5 crit multiplier. Thank you so much. I love the Opticor way before it was cool. The long charge up time, the tiny magazine size, the fairly slow reload, none of these bothered me because I just loved having this gun that looked like it belonged on a Star Destroyer. This is quite honestly the only weapon out of this list which I've invested significant forma into, because I got an amazing Riven mod for it. The looks, the sound and the sheer power that this weapon has with this update makes it without a doubt my top weapon of the bunch. So that pretty much wraps it up for this video. Tell me guys, what do you think were the best weapon buffs that this update brought you? What's your favorite part of the update? Do you think Digital Extremes did a good job with it, or did they make a hash of it as they sometimes do? Let me know down in the comments below. This is me signing off, and stay casual.